public meeting, planning meeting to order. If I could have councillors Bagu and Beauregard move the agenda. Questions? All in favor? That's carried. Are there any disclosures of interest? I don't think so, but I don't see any. Madam Planner, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this meeting is pursuant to sections 16 and 26 of the Planning Act for the purpose of the creation of a new official plan. Notice of the public meeting was administered in accordance with section 26 of the Planning Act as amended. The statutory public meeting was advertised in the Welland Tribune on May 11th, 2024 and digitally on the Global News website and targeted to Colborne residents from May 14th to 16th in accordance with section 26 of the Planning Act. The notice of the public meeting was also advertised on the city's website as well as via our various social media channels. As of the date of this meeting, staff has received no comments from departments or agencies or members of the public. So the procedure for this evening will be to present the report, Development and Legislative Services Report 2024-134. I'm going to then pass the meeting to Kelly Martell and Nicole Biglou to provide a presentation, and then hear any comments or questions of clarification from council, to Kelly, Dillon Consulting, or myself, as well as open the meeting to the public for comments, and then announce the requirements under the Planning Act for written notice of passage of the official plan. So before proceeding with the presentation, I'm going to read a couple statements. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the City of Colborne before a decision on the proposed new official plan is passed by council, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the City of Colborne Council to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the City of Colborne before a decision on the new official plan is passed by council, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, unless in the opinion of the tribunal there is reasonable grounds to do so. To anyone interested, for members of the public, if you'd like to receive future notices regarding the process of the new official plan, you can contact me by email at denise.landry@colborne.ca or the acting city clerk or acting deputy city clerk. Additionally, there's a sign-in sheet at the back of the room where you can sign in, and I will notify you of any future meetings we will be having and engagement sessions. So at this time, the Mayor, I'd like to invite any members of the public who wish to speak to the application new official plan to do so.
Do we want our presentation first?
Yes, please.
Yes. You're moving
I'm
too
too
far.
fast.
Too fast. So this time, if we could have Kelly Martell from Dillon Consulting come forward, and your crew, just press the red button, and you're all set. Thank you.
Perfect. So I just want to confirm everyone can hear me. Perfect. We're off to a good start. Good evening, Mayor Steele, members of council. My name is Kelly Martell. I'm a senior planner and associate with Dillon Consulting. I'm joined here with my colleague, Nicole Biglou. She is also an associate and engagement specialist with our firm. And what we are here to talk to you this evening about is our preliminary findings related to the community engagement and consultation conducted to date as it relates to the new official plan, and hear from yourselves and those members of the public who wish to speak as part of this statutory public meeting. And so if we can go to the next slide. Great. Oh, thank you so much. Like Denise had said earlier, the purpose of this statutory meeting is to present an overview of why we need an official plan update and get feedback from council and members of the public at the onset before undertaking the official plan process in earnest. And so what we're going to do today is present some of those preliminary findings, and then if you want to go to the next slide, I'll just go over a little bit what an official plan is. I will be brief on this so that we can move forward to the more substantive content of this presentation. But effectively, an official plan is a long-range strategic document that contains policies to guide growth, economic development, and the protection of the built and natural environment, generally over a specific time frame. What we're looking for now is the 2051 planning horizon. What an official plan will look at is creating a vision for growth, identifying areas where new housing, jobs, shops, and industry may be located, aligning that with infrastructure such as roads, sewers, schools, and parks, introducing and including policies for protecting and enhancing the natural environment, and making sure that the official plan goals, vision, and objectives align with and address specific metrics identified in the strategic plan. If you want to move to the next slide, specifically what we have been hired to do and what we've been working with the city on over the last number of months is the initiation processes for a new official plan. So your current official plan was approved in 2013 and it has been updated a number of times since then. Provincial legislation does require municipalities to have official plans which can be undertaken either as a new official plan process under one section of the Planning Act or as an update to the existing official plan. Given the numerous changes in provincial legislation over the last several years, we have determined collectively with city planning staff that it is now appropriate for the city to undertake a larger process to prepare a new official plan. And this really will respond to the current conditions, which we know are much different than the past conditions in the city, and set a new vision for growth to the 2051 planning horizon and beyond. And certainly between now and 2051, there are a number of opportunities for the city to continue to relook and update the plan. It's not necessarily a static document, it's much more dynamic. But with this larger Section 26 official plan process, there is a requirement that at the beginning of the process, a public meeting has to take place. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're at the beginning stages in preparing the new official plan to meet those statutory requirements. And over the course of, I would suspect, the next year or so, the city will be coming forward in a number of ways, both to council and the public as the official plan takes shape. But our engagement, really what we have done so far is identifying a preliminary vision and directions for that official plan that the city can take forward to proceed with the technical work necessary to prepare the new official plan. So we're going to go to the next slide. What we have done over the last few months is really the engagement component. We haven't done substantive technical analysis. We have worked with city staff to launch the official plan engagement page. We have met with the Technical Advisory Committee, which includes representatives from the region and the NPCA. This is a requirement under the Planning Act that preliminary meeting occur to get feedback and input from who would be the approval authority, and at this time it is the region of Niagara. We launched an online survey. We had an open house, and through those we have identified some preliminary directions for the official plan. And now tonight we are at the statutory public meeting process. Once we take all information in from tonight's meeting, we will then prepare an engagement strategy and work plan for the official plan that the city can use moving forward to carry the project on. And with that, I will pass it over to Nicole. Oh, yeah, sure.
Counselor?
Could I just ask a question as a preamble to
Sure.
what you're about to do? And
Absolutely.
actually what you've said, I probably should have asked it at the beginning, because we have a lot of development applications in, and our chief planner has been kind enough to give us a view into the future of how many are approved, in process, in play, under appeal. So all of these approximately, because I think this is important for citizens who want to be engaged in this process or will come out. So through you to our chief planner. So for those 7,000 odd units that are in one form or another in play, would I be correct in assuming that the new official plan will not provide guidance for any of those approved or in play because they applied with the official plan and zoning bylaw?
Madam Planner?
Through the mayor to the councillor, that is correct. If the applications are in right now, then they will be assessed under the current official plan policies as well as zoning bylaw. So in the future, those applications will most likely be reflected in the official plan to make them legally shown as permitted uses.
So just one last point. So then those developments that have been approved or applied for, they may or may not fall under a less onerous or all the perfect things that we want to add to this as plan, which may indeed make those lots and the building of same more enticing to build because they might be able to be built under a lower threshold of planning approvals. Is that fair?
Madam Clerk, or Madam Planner?
Through the mayor to the councillor, we are looking at those applications under current official plan policies. It's not to say though that, for instance, urban design guidelines are approved through the new official plan for specific areas. Then potentially those could apply to specific developments moving forward. So there are still opportunities where those policies could apply, but for the most part, if they're going through the process now, then we will be assessing them under those current policies.
Thank you.
Okay. Counselor?
Through your worship to the presenters, that slide that you had says project tasks and timelines. In regards to timelines, how far are we looking at from this meeting to the finalized directions?
Through the mayor to the councillor, what I can say is to get to those finalized directions is a very quick step. The pace at which the city does the technical work and prepares the official plan can vary. We are seeing right now that there are some municipalities on a very aggressive timeline. The city of Niagara Falls, for example, is very ambitious in getting theirs done. I think the goal is about 8 months. I would say that we could craft a work plan for the city that could reflect a condensed timeline. The drawback to that would obviously be you would have to reduce the number of touch points to the community or the number of touch points to council to bring something forward. So there are drawbacks and benefits, but typically what we do see is the official plan process itself generally takes about 8 months to a year, and it could be reasonably done within that time frame.
And through your worship, with the new PPS coming out, which was going to be the provincial planning statement, I guess now, instead of provincial policy statement, will that, based on what is expected to come from that, is there going to be any impact on what you've done so far in terms of the process?
Through the mayor, I can start, but I think Denise certainly can fill in the blanks as it applies to the local context. But what we have done as part of our work has been a preliminary conformity assessment to what is in play today. The region of Niagara certainly has a very robust document, a guidance document that can help local municipalities achieve conformity. But to the local specifics, I would leave it to Denise to fill in any blanks.
Yeah, through the mayor to the councillor. The reason we've started with what we have in terms of doing this kind of robust engagement piece is because of the change in policies. When we started the process, we recognized that the province has been changing and proposing a lot of different policies, and so we thought that at this point we would begin with the engagement section. I anticipate kind of by the time that we proceed with that next step that we will have a better understanding of where the policies are going. Right now, the region's official plan that was approved a few years ago would be under the current PPS that they would have had to conform to, so technically we would have to just conform to theirs, but we do have the opportunity to be flexible in terms of looking at any new PPS policies that are coming out.
Okay, go ahead.
Good. Okay, so I will pass it on to my colleague Nicole to talk about what we've heard so far.
Thank you, Kelly. We'll just go to the next slide. So like Kelly said, we started this process off with a technical advisory team meeting. We had 14 participants there from staff and council from Port Colborne, the region of Niagara, and the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. We then launched our engagement page, and we've had over 600 views of that page so far. We followed that with an online survey and a mapping survey, and we had, I think, about 34 online submissions to the survey and 150 comments placed on the map. And then we had our public open house, and we had about 60 people come. I had lost count at some point. It was quite active that evening. So what you'll see on the following slides is a summary of the comments that we've heard so far, and we've categorized these into key themes. So you'll see them summarized by key theme. So at the open house and on the online survey, we asked about the vision. So you can see the variety of responses that came in. People generally wanted to see Port Colborne stay as a vibrant small town that's connected to Lake Erie, but that's really grounded in arts and culture, parks and green spaces, a healthy community that has infrastructure that supports growth, has a thriving downtown and walkable streets. We also asked about housing. So generally, participants felt that there was a lot of opportunities for infill around Port Colborne and already built up areas. We asked if they would like to see urban areas expanded or growth concentrated in already built up areas, and there was a preference for that medium to high density in the already built up areas. We also saw people asking for more affordable housing, more diverse housing types, and sustainable building types. In terms of green spaces, oh, was there a question? Yeah.
Yes. When you said the word, there's a preference by, this is people who took the survey,
Yeah.
for there to be infill to the level of medium and high density in existing. So that's coming from everybody, citizens, business, the respondents. So I just want to have clarity because we've been getting asked by our local residents when somebody's wanting to put a 8-story apartment building in the backyard of a residential neighborhood. Notwithstanding this is the future. But it's interesting to me that the comments came that way, but on, like, I guess it's the definition of infill for me. So we have a large tract of open land. You could call that infill. It's in the urban area. It's backed on by a Portal Village. But then you have a neighborhood across the road where there's a motel that would come down, and that is considered infill. So just for clarity, infill is defined in your minds as just vacant land in the urban service area? Or, like, I'd really like to know, because I can see and appreciate the new subdivision in areas that's in the urban, but I guess what I'm saying, infill with medium to high density, that's not the sense I'm hearing. And so if I'm gonna pass something for the future, I want to be able to explain that. So maybe you could just give some oomph to infill.
Sure. Do you want, I can start. and then-
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this, through the mayor, I will start, and then I may rely on some of my colleagues to chime in. But typically what we would suggest in terms of infill is really those vacant lots within the existing urban boundary that are not identified as greenfield by the province. So there is a bit of a difference there, because I think that the property adjacent to Portal Village Plaza would be greenfield. So that is a bit different. But then the property by the motel would be within the built-up area and would be considered infill. Does that answer your question? Okay. Does anybody else have any further?
I can.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, when you talk like that, I think of St. Catharines. They have no more room to expand, north, south, east, west, so they're infilling inside the municipality, and they're putting like a 10-story apartment building surrounded by bungalows. And what we're getting now is maybe a bungalow, and next door is going to be a 6-story, or where it doesn't really need, there's no transition between 6-story and bungalow, like how about a duplex and then things. Is that something that we can address, or that has to come to council individually?
Yeah, I can. Okay. Do you want me to start? Okay. Through the mayor, what I would suggest is there are different ways you can measure compatibility. Certainly compatibility does not mean the same as, and in some instances it may very well be the case that you could assess something to be compatible where perhaps if your right of way is really wide, 6 stories may be appropriate. There may be other urban design considerations for transition to help bridge that gap. What we do know is that the current official plan does lack some guidance for city staff to assess compatibility. And what we have heard through the engagement to date is certainly that clarifying what compatibility is and providing the city with a set of tools to better measure it to inform decision making would be something that is desirable for the new official plan. And I don't know if Nicole, from what you've heard, if you had anything to add, or if anyone at the table wanted to elaborate.
Yeah, I will add that what you're seeing is a summary of comments that we heard through the open house and online survey. So just to clarify that these are from people who participated in those events. And we did certainly hear comments coming up around planning for those types of density transitions as being important to look and to include in the official plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I could probably give them your phone number when they call me or Councilor Prudeau or the other councilors, and I'm sure you hear a lot more.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Through your worship, I just have a question regarding, I guess, the survey or like the respondents. Were we able to identify whether any of the people that participated in the survey, whether they were developers, if they were just residents, were we able to capture that information?
Through the mayor, I don't believe we asked identifying questions on the survey, but this is just the beginning of the process, and that's certainly something we can do moving forward. But I'll double check with Denise if she has anything
I'll
to
say
add.
that sounds very much like a developer type of mentality as to those, based on what you said. So just my comments.
Through the mayor, I'm just want to touch base on Councilor Bogart said, like every time someone comes here, when you say high density, it's like bad. So for me, to say that that may be a priority, when most I could see going to medium, that I could see is adaptable for us. But when I say high, I know we get a lot of pressure every time that's brought forward to us, even though I know that's the direction that the future is going towards. But I'm just surprised that it's ordinary citizens that call me are not for that either, so I'm just surprised.
Thank you. We'll just go to the next slide. Thank you. So we heard a number of comments about green spaces and the environment as well. So we heard that Port Colborne is rich in natural areas and people would like to see those preserved and enhanced, specifically the tree cover. It's important to connect residential areas to green spaces to promote that connection to nature. People generally like to use trails to move around. So the official plan should include those, as well as increased access to the waterfront and protect the waterfront. We also heard a number of comments about climate change mitigation and adaptation. So planning to reduce greenhouse gas emissions while also planning for severe weather and climate-related emergencies such as flooding and severe hot and cold temperatures. In terms of agriculture, we also heard that the rural landscapes in Port Colborne are really important, so people would like to see those preserved, along with allowing agritourism and diversified farm uses. In terms of employment and industry, we heard that people generally would like to see these planned away from residential areas. People identified more northern areas on the map exercise that we had. And if industrial areas get close to residential areas, there is a suggestion for mitigation of those impacts, specifically around quarries. In terms of retail and commercial, we heard that connecting residential areas to commercial areas is really important to plan for complete communities. So people want somewhere close by that they can access their daily amenities and needs, and this included healthcare. People wanted commercial mostly along main streets, and that promoting tourism and recreation in the city is also really important. We asked people what they would like to be engaged in the future. So the topics that came up that people are most interested in included housing and population growth, urban design and placemaking, environment and natural heritage, jobs in the economy, and sustainability and climate resilience. Some other comments that didn't totally fit neatly in those themes but still came up was making sure that infrastructure keeps up with growth, leveraging existing valuable assets. So people said that, Port Colborne is really special and we have a lot of great things in our community that they would like to see leveraged in the new official plan. Community engagement came up as being really significant, so people wanted to see more community involvement in the creation of the official plan and promoting active transportation as well. We also asked people how they would like to participate. So overwhelmingly, people want to participate online, but people still want to participate in person as well. So the suggestion for drop-in events where people could talk to a team member in a public setting came up. So something like having a pop-up booth at a farmer's market or something like that. Many people get updates via the Port Colborne website and newsletter, so continuing to utilize those communication methods. And people also wanted to see a transparent and open process. So with all of that, we've crafted a draft vision for the official plan that you can see there. It is a bit long, but I will read it out. So we've aggregated the comments received to date for this vision. It is in draft form, but this will help guide the official plan. So Port Colborne is a thriving, vibrant, and diverse lakefront community that is rooted in our cultural heritage and the natural landscapes of Lake Erie. Our community is welcoming, inclusive, and accessible to all ages and abilities. We work together to build a community that is walkable with a thriving downtown, complete streets, and varied and affordable housing options while protecting our farmland. Inspired by our commitment to maintain proper infrastructure, we also plan for parks, green spaces, and community gathering spaces, ensuring a healthy community for current and future generations. We have places to work and promote economic development, tourism, and arts and culture that support our community. Port Colborne is a growing community, and our official plan creates a strong foundation to support future growth. And from there, I think Kelly's going to wrap us up with a few more slides.
Great, thanks, Nicole. In terms of next steps, I think, sure.
I'm wondering when you drafted that, if you looked at our strategic plan, because I see that there are some differences. I wish I had it here or side by side. But I'm wondering if you either want to comment to that or come back to us.
Through the mayor, I can respond in that we certainly looked at the strategic plan both with input received from the technical advisory team, as well as ourselves internally. And we have tried to balance the strategic plan with the feedback received. But again, this is in draft, and today is the day where we hear from yourselves and members of the public on ways in which we can improve the draft vision moving forward and strike a balance in aligning better with the strategic plan if that is council's desire, while still incorporating the feedback we've received from the public as well. So certainly we've looked at it. It's draft, it's open to change, and we want to make sure we're hearing from who we need to hear from at the outset before it's too late and we can't change it.
Maybe this is not for you to answer and for us to deal with internally, but I don't know how you see it in other communities, because you can imagine that strategic plan here, particularly the last time around, was out for a long time. I think Mr. Long was involved with that. And so it had a lot of community input, but not in the guise of an official plan. My worry is that you have months and 400 inputs and a through the mill here of everybody's thought and then council passing it. And over here you have 36 people or entities that say that. And, you know, if I weighed them, I would probably say this over this. So I agree it probably needs to circle around, but I don't know whose call you see that ultimately being or how it's adjudicated.
I don't want to open it up. I don't want to answer it a turn if you want to respond, Denise, or in terms of aligning the vision with the strategic plan.
Denise?
Through the mayor to the councillor, we can definitely take a look at the vision and work with the strategic plan and ensure that they align. I don't think the terminology needs to be the exact same, but I think as long as the principles are there in both in the vision as well as the objectives moving forward, so that we can make sure that the two documents are aligned. They are two different documents, but of course they work hand in hand. So I think it definitely is important that we ensure that they work together. But like I mentioned, they don't need to be verbatim, but have those kind of same kind of directions within them.
But I'm just hoping that at the end of the day, because that's been brought up by some others too, is perhaps when you get to a more finalized version, we can either have them side by side or have a discussion about that then. Thank you.
I'll just say quickly through the mayor to the councillor, we are going to be coming back this summer, as Kelly had mentioned, with the report prepared by Kelly and her team that outlines all the engagement we've received to date with the draft vision, how they came up with that. We came up with that as a team. as well as some other documents, an engagement strategy, how we're going to engage the community moving forward. So when we bring that, we can take a look at the two together and propose any adjustments to it based on our review.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Councilor Bogner and Councilor Equalita could probably give me more input than myself, but at the open house, I noticed there were a lot of Ward 4 people here from Bethel and Shirkston. And just the thought, I got the impression they felt left out of this master plan. They weren't even included in the drawings and everything else. And I think Bethel and Shirkston are important parts of this municipality, and we don't need to protect our farmland and hamlets, but I think there should be some recognition of our hamlets somewhere in our draft vision. Maybe Councilor Bogner can give you more than I could.
I just didn't know. I can.
Just because you asked, Mark. Yeah, there was a feeling that there was really nothing there for the people from Ward 4. I felt like it was more all city, not when I say city, all of the urban area more than anything rural. When you have another type of open house, I think you really need to show everybody how that fits also, or what pertains to that, other than farmland, which everybody knows. But, and Mark didn't mention gas lines, so I don't want to see him get heck when he goes into the store and gas line, and, you know, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through the mayor, if I can respond to that quickly, I think certainly that is a lesson learned that we took from that specific public event, and it was certainly not any intent to make those rural residents feel left out. The maps did indicate the urban areas and the hamlets, but the map board was not large enough to fit the rural areas, and given the questions were around what the provincial policy statement requires in terms of directing growth to the built up area, at the meeting those maps were directed more to the built up area, but certainly the online map was the full city, and definitely the engagement strategy moving forward will include the whole city. So that was certainly a lesson learned, and there was definitely no intent to make any of the rural residents feel left out.
Can I just jump to the draft vision statement there? The words are really nice, but what's going to matter is what we do with them. There's a statement in there for, I can almost read. Okay, I know I can look over here, but I'm trying to do this. Accessibility for all ages and abilities. We've got a ways to go on that. And I think that while that's in there, it doesn't really mean anything unless it's got something connected to it to make sure we really strive to make that a true statement. So I'd just like to throw that out there. Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Through worship, just on the draft vision statement, I think it's a great start. There's a lot in there, a lot of, I guess, certain words, key words, I guess you can say. One that I think might be missing is natural heritage, where we say protect farmland. I would think protecting natural heritage features would also fit in there. You have cultural heritage, so I think that's really good and that's important. I definitely want to see where we go with that. One other thing, will this be coming back to the technical advisory committee at a later date? I haven't, Councillor Bruno and I are on it.
Yeah.
We had one meeting and I've not heard anything since.
Right.
So when's that coming back?
Through the mayor, I can start. And then Denise, if you wanted to pick up on anything I might have missed, feel free. What we're doing after this meeting is taking that feedback and ultimately preparing a work plan, which will include a number of touch points with the technical advisory committee. So based on what we hear tonight, we just wanted to refine the engagement plan before moving forward. But typically what we do see in these official plan processes is around 4 to 5 technical advisory team meetings within the year or so it typically takes to do one. So you could expect that when the recommendation report comes forward with the work plan and the city initiates the work, the next TAC meeting or TAT meeting to occur shortly thereafter. Denise, is there anything? Okay. Great.
Okay, keep going.
So next steps, like I said, we are here to receive feedback from council today, and certainly we're taking your notes down. And if there is any more feedback once we're done, we can have that discussion. What we're going to do is take that feedback and incorporate it into a revised vision. So we'll work with staff to revise the vision, objectives, and finalize that engagement strategy and work plan for the new official plan. And then the idea is that work plan and that report will come to you this summer, and then the city can begin work on the new OP as soon as council endorses the work plan. If there's any other questions, we can go to the next slide. I think that concludes my presentation. So I think we've had really good discussion today. If there's any further discussion, we're here to answer your questions. If there's any questions from members of the public, we'll take those. And otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you again later this summer.
Great, thanks, Kelly. Any further questions, Council? Councillor?
Through your worship, I may be getting ahead of myself. These are pretty technical, I guess I'm going to say, and I know we're at a very preliminary stage. I'm only going to say this so it's on record and I don't forget. So some things I would like to see in our OP in the future, maybe something in regards to cash in lieu of parking. So as an option, so that way we can, just as a potential option for developments. Maybe also committees of adjustments being able to do more than just minor variances, legal nonconformity, to also include fence variances or other aspects, because the Planning Act does provide that authority. And I would like to see we touched upon a little bit the cultural heritage policies. I'm not sure really how much cultural heritage we have in our current OP and what design guidelines may be implemented in regards to cultural heritage areas. If we can maybe do a more fulsome investigation into cultural heritage and if it is at all worth doing, like having policies implemented for that in the city of Port Colborne, maybe it'd be in very specific areas. I think that would be good for the community. I had one other thing. Okay, I don't know if this is something that will be beneficial for us, but community planning permit systems. So I understand some places have them for specific areas, not necessarily the whole community. Could be beneficial, could cost a lot of money and not really be all that beneficial. I think it's something worth exploring nonetheless. Whether or not that's just our beaches or like the park, like the shoreline areas, or if it's just the downtown areas, it could be of use. So I guess I would like to see some investigation into those potential options.
Okay, further questions? Seeing none? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. So at this time, if there's anyone in attendance from the public who would like to speak to this item, we ask that you proceed to the podium. I don't see anybody. Thank you. Now we move on to bylaws. We have a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Port Colborne at its public meeting on June 18th, 2024, be enacted and passed as presented. If I could have Councilors Elliott and Hoyle move that. Questions? All in favor? That's carried.
Do we need a motion to receive the presentation?
No, I don't, no.
Motion to receive?
We don't, no, because it's just a presentation. But we've never done it before,
Okay.
that I remember. Yeah, I know you're acting clerk, so you're a little rusty at it. That's okay.
Acting like clerk.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm only acting.
So, anyways, so at this time, we wish that people, if you're watching online, get engaged. Reach out to our planning department. You can also reach out to Dillon Consulting, to Kelly Martell and her staff with regards to our official plan. But please reach out to us to let your thoughts be known, and or you can even call one of your counselors if you want to go through that avenue. Other than that, at this time, this meeting is adjourned.